Hello, this is Scott Loomis with Tech for Learning, and this is my overview video on how I created the favorite sports bar graph template. It's one of my real world of math projects that I blog about. It's a multi-page scenario that involves students applying their mathematical understanding, in this case creating graphs and then interpreting them in order to create graphs and then interpret them and solve problems. I typically tend to use a variety of tools and features within Wixie. Some of them are quite common, and others are just kind of tricks or kind of ways I manipulate the tools to get exactly what I want. So as a kind of a basic overview with page 1, these are simply text objects that I brought in, and in this case I have locked them down. The last thing I want students to be able to do is delete or move the text objects. I mean, they just need to look at this information before they move on from here. So I have gone to and you can see it's selected here, blue handles. I've gone to the edit menu, and under the properties I selected lock. And again, it's kind of easy to unlock, but again it requires an extra step by the students, so hopefully locking them down prevents it from accidentally happening. You'll notice the text-to-speech object or option still appears, even though it's locked compared to it not being locked. And again, if I wanted to unlock it, some people may opt to choose to glue it down, which is here. But again, that's a permanent thing, gluing it. You could not go back and edit it after you glued, for example. So the nice thing about the lock is it does allow you the opportunity to go back and make changes. As far as the information down here, it's just two separate text objects with the right alignment and the left alignment. And I chose just basically here, and I duplicated it, I chose to do some lines from the shape tool, lines. I'm going to go back at a real small shape tool. I chose to do lines, between them. And I'm a little type A, so then I chose to crop them, and I'm going to crop this one line and copy and paste, edit, copy, edit, paste, and that's how I put the lines in, then kind of eyeball them here. I could, after I was done, or I could eyeball each one, easily take like a white rectangle white that's filled, and kind of go down to be sure my lines are perfectly they're perfectly aligned at the end. I know that's a little type A, but I'm particular about my templates. I want them to look pretty and all kind of squared away. However, the next page in the template, this being just a practice page, the next page involves the use of a grid or graph paper. Now, this is not an object that can be inserted into your template, but in our case, I actually inserted it from a different Wixie project or page. So I went in, I'm going to go back to the home section. I went into the templates, and under math, templates, I found some grid paper. So there's grid paper large here. There's also grid medium and grid small. I chose grid small, and then I customized it to give myself my own copy. So I've already done that. I'm not going to do it again. But when I go back to home and choose my projects, you'll notice that grid small is right there. So when I'm in the favorite sports bar graph, and I'm looking at page 2 of the template, basically what I did is I went to File and I said Import Pages. And this is going to allow me to combine my two projects. The project I got working here as far as the actual task goes, and then that small grid paper. So I'm going to choose Import Pages, and it says, oh yeah, okay, from my projects, yep, where? There it is, okay. And I'm going to select it, and then it'll ask you to choose the specific page. So if it was a multi-page product, you would choose the page you want, and this is how you can easily combine student work. Again, if it's a multi-page project and you just want page 2, you would easily choose just page 2 instead of the whole thing. So right away I note this is way too big. I need space for my directions. I want to leave space for the students to label the X and Y axis of the graph. So I'm going to return to rectangle, and I could try to erase it. And you can see it is erasing it, but I need to be a little bit more precise than that. Again, I told you I like things squared away and straight. So I'm going to go to Shapes again, return and grab that white rectangle, and be sure that it's filled. Now, I could kind of just start up here and kind of figure it out, but what I like to do is I like to pick a corner. Like I know I want to get rid of like the top 3 rows here. So I like to pick one of the corners, and not down here because I might not get it right. Now I got a little knob sticking out, so to speak. So I pick a corner and I just kind of paint down to it. So, oh, that actually worked out nice. Gonna pick, it might have been too much, but I'm gonna go ahead and do another corner and then go in to get my 3 rows for the the y-axis label, and then I can do the same for the x-axis. Yeah, this is a little small. I think I should have left one or two up top. But what I have done is created a size of grid or graph paper that I want the kids to work on instead of just the whole page. So you can see, I'm going to go to the storyboard view, that is what I've done with the template. Actually, it's very close to what I had before. Okay. And then on page 3, the students need to interpret that data, interpret the numbers. Instead of just listing the 4 different text boxes, which have all been locked down, I went ahead and partitioned the page again with rectangles, solid colors, to give a space, so to speak, for each problem. I could have just done a white, edge or frame with lines in between to just partition it up, but I thought the colors were a little bit more inviting. So I can encourage students to use the pencil tool, going really small to do their problem. I think dance is 36 and basketball is 18. Maybe I got that wrong. So they could use the pencil or add a text object on top of it. I also chose to use an instruction. Dance was 28 and basketball was 16. I was close, but obviously I got the wrong ones. And the nice thing about this is I brought the data over from page 2, although they could easily toggle back and forth, which they may end up doing as part of the template. And then I encourage the use of the paintbrush tool or the recording answer. Now, teachers can add instructions, and students, they can't change the instructions. They can only view them. And when kids come to this page, I don't want them to come to this view, which would just be the browser view or pointer tool. I want the instructions open for them to see straight away. So that's why I chose open to instructions. All right? And I could have the kids record their answer. Some kids may only put the answer, which should actually be 12, I believe, after looking at the new numbers. They just put the answers here. And there's no explanation of how they got them. I mean, heck, did they copy their neighbor? Did they magically have it appear in their mind, some daydream or whatnot? So I would encourage, because each recording can last up to 5 minutes, maybe the kids also explain how they solved it. When a kid says, well, I saw the dance was 28 and I saw that basketball was 16, so I subtracted them, and that's why I got 12. You actually know, instead of just assuming, they got the answer, in one correct option, although there would be many more to choose from. All right. And then the last page is my contact information. As always, I'm happy to hear from you, take suggestions or receive feedback, and of course, answer questions if you have one. All right. So that's it. That's my overview of how I created the template. Good luck and enjoy.